Perhaps you want to come into Savasana pose, easy pose, with your legs crossed, sitting bones rooted down. And just kind of maybe loosen your arms by your sides. Just kind of wiggle them out just a bit. And just begin to maybe roll the shoulders up and back. It's great to see so many of you joining us. I'm hoping that I'm actually live. I'm not going to be monitoring comments, unfortunately. Can't teach and monitor these comments at quite the same time, all by myself. But I trust that you're all there and that you're just kind of finding that comfortable spot to just kind of ground. Let's come to stillness, perhaps close the eyes, and just tune into your breath. Full inhales and full exhales. See if you can generate that ujjayi breath, so that little bit of constriction in the back of your throat, slowing the breath down, and in my case, warming the breath. It is literally, I don't know, freezing in here. Lacking warm bodies for sure. I know you're all with me in spirit. If you can even cultivate that ujjayi breath just enough to where you can actually hear your breath, that ocean sounding breath, both on the inhale and on the exhale. Notice as you inhale, the body grows taller. And as you exhale, the body just grounds, maybe just a little bit more into the sitting bones. If you're just joining us on our live broadcast, just, find a comfortable seat, whether it's hero's pose or sukhasana. If you want to start on your backs, please start wherever you're most comfortable. We're just going to tune into the breath. And then beginning to move in cat and cow. So we're just going to inhale, lift the heart and lift the gaze, maybe lift the chin up, draw your shoulder blades back in towards your side waist. And on your exhale, round your spine, seated cat pose, and draw your chin down to your chest. Hang on to the knees, navel draws towards the spine. Inhale, open the heart. And exhale, rounding. And just continue to move here with your breath. And then we're going to take some inhales, reach the arms up overhead, extend through the fingertips. On your exhale, go ahead and twist to the right, but don't lean back. Just keep the posture up nice and tall. Inhale, reaching back up through the center, and exhale on over to the left side. Gently looking over that left shoulder. Inhale, reach up. A couple more times each direction. Exhaling right. Use the inhale to lift and reach. Find a little bit more space into the side waist. Exhale, twist left. One more round. Inhale, reach up. And exhale. Inhale, reach. And exhale. This time we're going to inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling here, and then we're going to side bend on over to the right side. So when you plant your arm to the mat, just kind of go ahead and bend that elbow just a little bit and just side bend over as far as you can. Extend through the fingertips. And on your inhale, come on over to the left. Use your exhale to side bend. Perhaps you even come on down to that forearm. Then inhaling back up and exhaling over. Inhaling takes you up. Use the exhale to get that full length into the side waist. Perfect. All right, inhale, come on back up. Let's take the soles of the feet together, bound angle. And fingertips, peace fingers can come to the big toes. What you want to do here is sit up nice and tall. Use your inhale. And on your exhale, you're just going to begin to hinge forward. Maybe let the elbows go wide and draw the chest down towards the feet. Just go as far as you're comfortable, lengthening through the crown of the head. Getting that hip opening. And then just softening the back of the neck. No worries about looking at the screen here. We all know what we're doing. We're just moving with our breath, letting go. And then on your next inhale, come on up. Awesome. And let's take our right leg out in front of us. If you're finding it difficult to sit up really tall, if you could sit up on a pillow or a seat cushion, or if you have a folded mat at home, you can do that. Draw your right toes in towards you and inhale. Take your arms up towards the ceiling. And on your exhale, hinge and fold forward. Just let those hands come down on either side of the leg and keep flexing that right ankle. Reach through the heel and be sure to soften the back of the neck here. Knee to nose toe pose. Next inhale, reach with the fingertips, come all the way up overhead. We're going to twist to the left, so towards that bent knee. And the right hand's going to come on down to that left knee. And then we're going to fold forward so that the right shoulder is reaching towards the knee. And that left arm is reaching nice and long. Perhaps it becomes parallel with the leg. And on your next inhale, come on up. And if Rhonda's watching, we're going to do knee down wild thing. I stole this from her class about a week ago. So set that left hand right here by your hip. And then we're going to lift up, and it's mainly not just the knee, but the whole shin that's going to support us. So we're just going to reach the hips up and then stretch this right arm nice and long. Maybe perhaps coming into just a slight back bend. And then exhale, lowering back down. Thank you, Rhonda. That felt great. All righty. And coming back into Baddha Konasana. Inhale, breathe, and exhale. Hinge and fold. And on inhale, come on back up. And we'll take our left leg forward for the other side. Flex at the heel. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. On your exhale, hinging forward. This is that hamstring stretch. When you're done hinging, then just set those hands down alongside of your leg. Not necessary to reach the foot. That generally is going to change the shape of your mat. If you're someone that really wants to reach the foot, maybe perhaps reach more just for the heel and keep the leg active, drawing the left toes in towards you. Let me just soften here for a few breaths. Next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. We're going to twist to the right towards that bent knee. Left hand comes down. You're twisting open to that right side of the room, so keep your heart open to the right. As you bend forward, your left shoulder is coming just a little bit closer towards that left knee. Keep reaching long. And then on your next inhale, come on up. Set that right hand down next to your right hip and flatten the hand here. We don't want to be propped up on the thumb in any way. And then we're going to come into that knee down wild thing onto the side. So lifting the hips. And exhale, lowering down. Alrighty, from here, let's take both legs forward. We'll do a final seated pose. Intense west-facing stretch. So inhale, take the arms up overhead and exhale, hinge forward. Good morning, hamstrings. Keep the thighs engaged, the toes reaching towards the shins. If you feel this too much in your back, just make your way up just a little bit higher. You want to feel this primarily in the back of the thighs, those hamstring muscles. And next inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, take the palms together and bring them down to the heart space. From here, we're going to come on to our hands and knees. If you're someone that has issues with kneecaps or knee pain, or if you have wrist pain, you can bring your hands forward just a little bit of your shoulders. And then we're going to step that right foot up towards the right hand. And then just press the hips forward. Perhaps start to rise up. Hands can come on top of the knee or the thigh here. Make sure your knee is right over the ankle. And if you want, you can come up into that crescent moon pose. Reach the arms up. Now on the exhale, we're going to take the hands down to the mat. Spread the fingers nice and wide on that left hand and twist open here. And coming into a lizard pose, we're going to take that right hand on the inside of that right foot. You can wiggle that right foot out to the side here. You can even lift that hip open perhaps just a little bit, coming onto the edge of your foot, and perhaps coming on down to forearms. Maybe even stacking the fists on top of each other, resting the forehead on top of the fists. You should feel this primarily on that left hip flexor. And of course, a little bit on the right hip, inner hip. And we're going to make our way back up to hands and knees. And take your hips back for our first child's pose. So rooting the hips back to the heels. And perhaps the forehead comes on down to the mat. Shocking this morning, I can't usually bring my forehead down to the mat on my first child's pose. And if your forehead doesn't make it to the mat, again, stacking hands or fists to give yourself some support. It's a great thing. And next inhale, come back up to your hands and knees. We're going to step that left foot forward next to the left hand and reach the hips. Get that stretch into the right hip flexor. Make your hands on up to the top of that left thigh. Perhaps reach the arms to the sky. Crescent moon pose. Drop the shoulders down your back. Gaze can go up. And exhale. Hands come on down to the mat. Spread those right fingers nice and wide. Twist open to the left. Shine your heart open. Now in this particular version of this twist, we want to keep the knee right over the ankle. Not letting it go wide. Gaze can go up to those left fingertips. And then take your left hand down on the inside of your left foot, heel toe your left foot out to the side. And we'll come on down for lizard pose. One of my favorites. Just opening up that right hip flexor and letting the hip open as much as possible here. If you want, you can even add just a little bit more stretch, setting that palm and pressing away with the hip. Always feels good. Just do what you can here in this class. Coming back to hands and knees, and then let's just sit back, hips to the heels and try in hero's pose. We'll stack our hands on our lap, draw our shoulders back. And just take a couple of breaths. Perhaps close your eyes. We will get flowing in just a bit. So tuning back into that breath. And then we're going to walk our hands out and go a little bit in front of the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Make your way into downward facing dog. Rooting the hips back and away. And if you want, you can just kind of walk that dog. So bending one knee and then straightening the other. If you want to raise up on the tippy toes and then reach the heels back towards the mat. Perhaps you give just a little bit of bend into the knees. Lengthen through the spine. Press away with all 10 fingers, rooting down to the mat. I sometimes need to look up at my hands and make sure that they're placed equally in line with each other. Middle finger facing forward. And then on our next inhale, look up to your hands, step your feet forward for a forward fold. And we'll go ahead and hang here for a little while. Perhaps the hands come to the opposite elbows and just begin to sway. You can shake the head yes, you can shake the head no. Starting to warm up, if you want to take off your sweatshirts or jackets or whatever you have with you. And then we're just going to rise up halfway. Hands go to the top of the shins. Exhale, fold over. And then on your next inhale, we're going to reach our arms all the way up overhead. And exhale, hands come down to the heart space. So close your eyes here, and we're just going to root down through the feet, Pada Bandha. Inhale, reaching the crown of the head up. See if you can have just a little bit of even pressure through the front of your body, pressing your palms lightly together and then drawing the shoulders back. So a little bit of push and pull. Shoulders away from ears. And then on our next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. We're going to take the right hand over to that left wrist and just side bend. And inhale, coming up. Switch that grip and side bend here. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthening the spine. On your next exhale, bend the knees. Plant your hands. Take your legs back to plank pose. And take just a little bit of time here to reach through the heels. Stack your shoulders, elbows, and wrists on top of each other. If your shoulders or wrists don't like this, I think Anne is with us. I know your shoulder might still be bothering you. Come on down to the forearms. Come on down to the elbows. Keep reaching through the crown of the head. Perfect. Now root your hips back and walk your feet in. We're going to come into a dolphin pose. Forearms down if you'd like. And if you want, you can come on up to your hands for a down dog. So dolphin or down dog here. If you can want to work your way back and forth, that's also a great exercise here. Forearm, forearm, hand, hand. Other side, forearm, forearm, hand, hand. Let's take that right leg up behind us, three-legged dog. Extend through the whole entire leg. Let's step it forward and find warrior one. Take the arms up towards the ceiling. Find your gaze straight ahead, your drishti. Plug those shoulders into their sockets. And on your exhale, take the hands down to the mat and just kind of make your way back to plank and move with your breath. If you prefer to come to hands and knees and move through a cat and cow, that is fine as well. I'm going to go ahead and just pull my hair back. Continue to flow with your breath. And we will all meet back in down dog or dolphin pose on your forearms if you prefer. And then we'll take that left leg up, three-legged dog. Step it forward for warrior one. Ideally, your legs are in two railroad track pathways here. Shoulders are facing forward. Press through that right pinky toe side of the foot. Press that knee back nice and straight. Left knee is right over the ankle. And exhale, hands come onto the mat. Move through your connecting vinyasa. Plank to chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. And exhale back to downward facing dog. We'll take about 3 connecting breaths here. Rooting the hips back. Evening out your breath. Next inhale, look up to your hands. Step your feet forward. Come up halfway. Exhale to bow back over the legs. And on your inhale, root to rise. All the way up to standing. And take the palms together. Exhale, hands to the heart space. Come into a sun salutation B. So bending the knees, rooting the hips down. Draw the belly to the spine here and tuck the tailbone under. Hands come to the heart space. So sitting as deep as you can here. Keep the chest lifted. Arms that come overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold forward. Inhale, lengthen up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees. Fully plant those hands. Step the legs back. And let's go ahead and lower again to the belly all the way or just halfway. Your choice of back bend. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to take that right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog, and step it forward for warrior one. Planting that back left foot, arms reach up parallel. Take a couple of breaths here. One more breath. And we'll pivot open to warrior two. Gazing over the right fingertips. And coming into extended side angle. We're going to keep that right knee right over the ankle. Right forearm comes on down to the thigh. Reach the left arm alongside of the ear. You can turn the gaze up towards the ceiling. Next inhale, come on back up to warrior two. And cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Step back for your connecting vinyasa. If you prefer, you can take a child's pose, catch your breath. Or if you want a little bit more energizing practice, continue to move with your breath here. Chaturanga. Taking the hands forward. If you came to your knees for cat and cow, reach the hips back for downward facing dog, and then we'll work on the other side. So take that left leg up, three-legged dog, and step it forward for warrior one. Paralleling the arms, finding that drishti, that non-moving spot on the wall straight ahead. And help us with our balance. Take a nice full inhale, pivot open to warrior two. Gaze over the left middle finger and breathe. And coming into extended side angle. Reach that right arm nice and long. You're trying to get this nice long diagonal pathway from the right fingertips all the way down to the pinky toe side of that right foot. Gaze can turn up underneath the crook of your arm towards the ceiling. Shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked. Next inhale, come on up to warrior two. And cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Move through your vinyasa, whatever that may be. You can come all the way to the belly chaturanga, or perhaps you want to hover. You can come up to your forearms for a sphinx pose or a cobra. And on your exhale, either down dog or perhaps taking the hips all the way back for child's pose. Please remember this is your practice. We'll take 3 connecting breaths here. Staying mindful of your breath. And then from our downward facing dog, we're going to step or jump our feet forward. And just hang here a little bit for a forward fold. You can take the hands to the opposite elbows. Draw the chest towards the knees. Root the crown of the head down towards the mat. And then fingertips to the floor. We're going to take that right leg back, nice and long. Start to walk your hands to the right, parallel the feet for a wide leg forward fold. And just hinging here at the hips. And then come on up to the fingertips, reach through the crown of the head. Take each hand up to your hips. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other, pinching those shoulder blades together. Take a nice deep inhale. Open mouth exhale. Next inhale, come on up. And on your next exhale, if you want, you can just drop back for just a little back bend. So pressing the hips forward. Keep squeezing the elbows towards each other. And inhale, come on up to neutral. Now we're going to turn the left toes forward, arms come to a T. Inhale with your left arm, and on your exhale, descend over for triangle pose. So keeping the shoulders stacked here, keeping the hips stacked, legs are straight, gaze can go up to that outstretched right arm. You can use a block here, but I'd like the fingertips to be really light. It's not necessary to reach the floor. Next inhale, come on up. And on your exhale, we're just going to pivot those feet together. Bring your arms into cactus arms, and we're going to hinge over. Perfect. Take the arms out nice and straight. We're going to do a little twist here. So the right hand's going to come on over to the left calf and twist open. Gaze goes up. If you prefer, you can drop that arm back, taking a bit of a bind around your side waist. Inhale, arms reach out to the sides again, coming through to the center. Left arm comes on over to the right calf, twist open. Again, the arm can come on over to the side waist. Sometimes I like to just kind of rest it on my sacrum, just a little gentle pressure there feels great. Next inhale, reach the arms nice and long. And exhale, fold on back down to the floor. And next we're going to come on up again. So hands come to the hips. Use the core to lengthen through the crown of the head. Take a nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, come on up. We'll turn the right toes to the back of our mat for triangle on the other side. Gaze over your right fingertips. Inhale, reach. And exhale, descend over, triangle pose. So my analogy has always been a piece of toast in a toaster. You don't want to hinge forward. Don't want to burn yourself. Breathing here. Gaze can go up to that lifted left arm. Next inhale, come on back up to a T. And we're going to go ahead and bring our hands to our hips. Angle your toes or your feet out towards the corners of your mat. And we're going to come into goddess pose to a spider pose. So arms come up to cactus arms. Bend the knees, allow the knees to track over your feet, root down. And then we're going to hinge forward, hands come to that inner thigh here. And then reach your right hand down to the floor. Light with the fingertips. Cross your left arm over. And then see if you can raise up on your tippy toes. Lengthening through the crown of the head. Awesome. All right. Uncross the arms, set them back up to the hands here. Lengthen through the crown of the head. And then let's take on the hands down to the mat or the floor, depending on where you're at. And then walk your legs back Maybe come off the mat and come into a nice wide down dog. Arms are wide, legs are wide. Root through the hips, legs, spine. Breathe. And look up at your hands. We're going to step our feet forward. We're going to come into Malasana. This is a yogi squat. So reach the heels towards the ground. Hips are nice and open. Hands can come to the heart space. Lift the heart, root the hips down. Breathe here. If you have a crow practice at home, you can bring the hands down to the mat. You can rise up on the tippy toes. You can start to make your way into crow. What you want to do here is squeeze the knees in towards those upper arms. Take your gaze in front of the hands. Maybe pick up one foot. Maybe pick up the other foot. Keep the core engaged. The heels reaching towards the sitting bones, and then slowly coming back to Malasana pose. Just something to play around with. Hands come on down to the mat. Reach the hips up to a nice deep forward fold. Hinging forward. Perhaps you have a nice bend in the knee, so that the chest comes towards the knees. And hands come on up to the hips. And we'll just hinge on back up to standing. Perfect. All right. We're going to move into just a little balancing pose here. So I think this is going to be a standing pigeon pose today. I want to get that pigeon stretch in. We've done some hip openers, so this should feel pretty good. We're going to bend the knees and we're going to start in a chair pose. So we've already been here. So rooting the hips down, engaging the core, tucking the tailbone under, legs stay parallel. And then we're just going to shift the weight to the right, lighten the left toes, cross that ankle over. Let the hip open and sit the hips down. Maybe rooting down here just a little deeper. You'll feel that stretch in actually both hips. Just an option would be to fold forward. You can press through that standing leg if you'd like. Light with the fingertips. If you're at home and you want to use the wall, you can walk your hands down the wall. Come on back up. And let's release the pose. Shake the legs out. How's everyone doing? Certainly hope I'm live. You guys can all tell me afterwards when I can read some comments or suggestions. Alrighty, we'll come into standing pigeon pose on the other side. Bending the knees, rooting the hips down, gauging the core. Important to find that non-moving spot on the wall. Shift your weight to your left foot. And when you're ready, just start to pick up that right foot, cross the ankle over. You can just stay right here. My left ankle's been giving me a little bit of fits, so nothing fancy on this side. Fold over if you feel comfortable. You can walk the arms down to the wall. You can bring your hands to a block if you have one. And coming back up, hands to the heart space, and reach the arms open. And go ahead and just pedal the legs out. All right. So that was kind of our pigeon warm-up. We're going to go through a vinyasa flow next, and then we're going to come into the full pigeon pose. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold over. Inhale, halfway. On your exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, take your legs back to plank. When you're ready, lowering chaturanga, maybe you hover halfway down. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right leg reaches up. Three-legged dog. Draw the knee into your chest. Start to wave out to plank. Angle your shin to where it's comfortable. That right knee reaches towards that right wrist. And then walk or slide your left leg back. Squeeze the legs towards the midline. So engaging the core. Lighten through the fingertips here. And when you're ready, go ahead and fold forward if you're not already there yet. Bring your awareness to your breath here. Releasing tension in the low back. And then beginning to make your way back up. We're going to transition to the other side. So tuck your left toes under, step back to downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal your legs out here if you'd like. Getting circulation back into the hips. And then we'll take that left leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Bend the knee. Hold the knee up into the chest, almost like you're cat tilting the back here a little bit. You're trying to find space between the shin and the mat. Angle that knee across your mat, so wherever it will comfortably go without you manipulating that knee. Take that right leg back behind you. Scissor the legs kind of towards each other. Kind of helps to keep the hips even. Lighten through the fingertips. And then walk yourself forward. Find a sleeping swan pose. Almost fell asleep there. All right, make your way back up. Spread those fingers nice and wide. Tuck your right toes under. Step back to your downward facing dog. And pedal the legs out. And then let's bring the knees slightly down to the mat. Untuck the toes, reach the hips back. If you want, you can wiggle those knees wide, big toes together, and come into a wide knee child's pose. If you want, you can interlace the fingers, walk the elbows in here a little bit closer. Bend the elbows, bring the hands behind the neck. And that stretch into the triceps. The arms come back down. You can keep the hands interlaced if you'd like. We're going to walk the knees together. Reach the hips so that they're right over the knees. We're going to come into a pose. I'm just going to turn here. Maybe you can see this pose. This is rabbit pose, so we have started spring. So we're going to start seeing some rabbits, right? So we're going to take the hips back for rabbit pose. Tuck the forehead down towards the mat. Walk the arms back by your feet. And then up behind your back. Perhaps interlace your fingers. Now we're going to lift the hips so they're back on top of those knees. And then reach the arms up to the sky. So you're rolling onto the crown of that head. Take it slowly. And coming back down to child's pose. Maybe you drape the hands back by your heels. Nice, safe pose. Sending prayers out to wherever the fire engines are going to this morning. Make your way up to hero's pose. I didn't intend this to be our hero's pose, but yes, keeping in mind that at this difficult time, we have lots of heroes and heroines in our lives. We have the fire workers and police, and we have, of course, all the doctors and nurses and hospital staff working for us overtime. Many without rest, exposing themselves and their families to all the risks that's out there. Sending gratitude their way. We're going to go ahead and start to wind down our practice. If you can stay with us for just a few more minutes, we're going to make our way on down to our backs. So you can come to hands and knees, you can cross the ankles and walk yourself back. If your knees aren't fond of that, you can walk your knees off to the side, hands to the other side, and slowly lower the hips down, take the legs forward. Plant the feet onto the mat. Slowly make your way all the way down to your back. And let's hug our knees into our chest and just a little rock here, side to side. I'm going to angle myself here a little bit. In case you're watching on the screen, you don't need to see my booty. Just make this nice and comfortable. We've done a little bit of hip openers and pigeons today. So as you are here, before we finish our practice, just thinking about what pose might feel good to you. If you didn't get enough pigeon, there's always crossing the ankle over the knee and pulling the leg in. If you'd like to just kind of twist it out, you can take those feet from side to side. Knees from side to side like a windshield wiper. You can come into bridge pose. You can come into wheel pose. And our favorite is perhaps happy baby. So you reach your hands on the inside of the legs. Reach the fingertips to the outside edges of the feet. So flex your feet here, your ankles. Draw the feet down so that the knees come closer towards the mat. And maybe just a little push and pull at the same time. So the feet are pressing up and the knees and the hands are pulling down. So maybe just kind of pump the legs here just a few times. And maybe make your happy baby by rocking here side to side. You can straighten one leg, bend the other. So not taking ourselves too seriously. I appreciate everybody joining me for this practice. And go ahead and hug your knees into your chest once again before coming into Savasana. So for Savasana, you're going to walk your legs nice and long onto your mat. If you have back issues and you want to put a bolster or a towel or a blanket roll underneath the knees, that might be wonderful. Roll the shoulder blades underneath your back. Your arms form like a low V at your side, so palms come up. Just letting go of all tension here. And starting with those facial muscles. Those lovely smile lines around the eyes and the mouth, softening there. Letting the shoulders drop back towards the mat. And if you're truly relaxed in Savasana, then those fingertips will just slightly curl on their own. Legs will fall open towards the sides of the room. Maybe separate the feet about 2 feet wide. And just take some time here to breathe. Thank you, birds. We have a little bit of a soundtrack going. To move fingers and toes. Maybe circle the wrists and the ankles. And go on over to either side, your right or your left. Using that lower arm to support your head. How you feel. Thanking yourself for getting on your yoga mat this morning. Using that top hand. Maybe the eyes stay closed and you gently make your way up to the Sukhasana easy pose. Hands come together at the heart space. Let's all take a nice deep inhale. Open mouth exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Thank you for joining me this morning. The light in me sees and honors the same light in each of you. Namaste.